As you can probably tell by the video title, I'm actually going to be talking about a video game for once. Usually when I do these reviews, I'm always talking about a TV show or maybe just a film or whatnot, really. But this time I'm going to do things a little bit different, and that is talk about a video game. Usually in video game reviews you get loads of clips of a video game and examples here and there of your own personal experiences. However, I'm going to do things a little bit different. For you see, this video game, or this review to say the very least, is... or discussion, I guess you could put it. Let's just say, it's more of a warning message. And the reason why I consider this a warning message is more or less due to the fact that there's a lot of things about it which I don't want people who might see it and might get interested in it to then fall under this guideline that, you know what, it might be alright. And if you haven't read the title already, it's about Woolfe, the Red Hood Diaries. So a basic summary of the plot. It's basically Little Red Riding Hood, a more darker version, where she's looking out for the mystery behind her father's death, which she believes that this big businessman known as Woolfe is responsible for. He is essentially a totalitarian dictator who has taken over this entire world that it's set in and has transformed people into mechanical soldiers, and I will admit, it interested me. Now, for those that probably haven't guessed already, I am quite a big fan of American McGee's Alice. I don't like its sequel, and the prequel that is in the works as we speak is... I'm gonna have to wait until that gets released to have a full judgment. I mean, I think it's a stupid idea, but you never know, it might be good. So Woolfe looked interesting. It looked like American McGee's Alice, but with Little Red Riding Hood. And I saw it in the Steam store, and I thought, you know what, I might as well buy it. You know, so I bought it on Halloween, funnily enough, because, you know, I hate trick-or-treaters, so I decided to play some Team Fortress 2 and wanted to use some of the cosmetics. I got the arachnid hat for the pyro, which was really great, but I also wanted to buy a game, which was Woolfe. To be fair, I did notice that there were mixed reviews for the game, and the mixed reviews, while looking through them, all said pretty much the exact same thing. Even if they were positive, they said the exact same thing the negative reviews would say. And I more or less have the same thought process, although mine's a little bit more negative. So I bought the game, and I wanted to try it out. So first things first, I love the look of the game. The game looks stunning. It's a beautiful looking game. It truly is. I love the designs of the characters, the designs of the enemies. It definitely goes for that sort of American McGee's Alice look, but gives it its own little spin, its own little twist. And to go further with that, the characters aren't all, you know, deep and depressing and all that. They actually do feel like they do feel like characters, I should say. Red Riding Hood, for example, she does crack a few jokes here and there, and she's quite sarcastic in her tone, but she's still... It doesn't devolve from her character, it doesn't make her, you know, goofy in this really ultra-serious world. You know, she still has some charm to her. So that's great. Story-wise, from what I played, because I'm going to say this right now, I only played 2 hours of this game before I asked to refund. So... story-wise, it seemed decent. It's a mystery story surrounding about her father's death. She wants to find out. And obviously, you see this giant world, and the world looks really interesting. It really invests you. But unfortunately, this game, no matter how good an art style or a plot is... I'm just checking that's still filming. No matter how good an art style or a plot may be, video games also have a very important factor that games in general need to take into account, and that is gameplay. You can have a good story You can have great design or great graphics or what have you, but if your gameplay is shit, it's a different question. And when I played this game, one of the things that I failed to pick up on was obviously the stuff that you need, the technical bits, because obviously if your computer isn't compatible, then obviously it's not going to play. But of course mine was, but it still lagged like fuck. One of the main reasons why you aren't seeing any footage from my experience is because whenever I tried to record, it just crashed. So yes, lag was a major issue, and truth be told, I do get lag in a lot of other games, Team Fortress 2 for example, but at least I can still play it, and at least the lag doesn't hinder me completely. In this game, the lag was... it was just awful. To describe it would be, say you got Red Riding Hood, she's dawdling along like that, but as she's dawdling along, she like twists and fidgets all over the place. So that was awkward. So I lowered the settings. I looked online and discovered that other people were suffering similar issues, and I followed their examples trying to fix the issue. It didn't really fix. So that sucked. But then we got into platforming. Now this game is a platformer, technically speaking. However, it's the type of platformer that if you don't land your shots correctly, you'll like go straight through a box and you'll just die. Or how about this, when you're jumping onto a ledge somewhere, and instead of jumping onto said ledge, Red Riding Hood will fall to her death. She doesn't grab onto it, she just falls to her death. But then on some occasions, she does grab onto it. And she'll then, you could do whatever the hell you want. You could take her to another bit over here, or jump down into another ledge, by which, when I mean by jump down to another ledge, she might miss, or might not register, or it might not register her grabbing hold on it, and she falls to her death. So, yes, platforming for a platform game doesn't work. You either phase through objects, or you try grabbing onto an object, like a ledge for example, and you don't grab it at all. It's like a 50-50 chance. You might do it sometimes, but you might not do it the other times. So that became very frustrating, but thankfully the game does have this sort of checkpoint system. But then again, the game doesn't really have save options. As I discovered, if you don't complete a level or you don't complete a section, the game will restart from the very beginning. Usually games have an autosave setting, or maybe they might give you the option to save whenever you want. Yep, still filming. So, might give you the option to do whatever the hell you want and save whenever you want. This game doesn't. Instead, it only saves once you completed a level, so that sucks. Especially if you're stuck on a level and you just want to leave it for the day, but then turns out you can't. That was a particular problem with the sewer level I had, and I'll get onto the sewer level in a minute. Because a lot of the problems I have with this game revolve around this one fucking level, and this is what made me just quit the game and ask for a refund. So let's go back into basics. The game obviously has some combat to it, but it also has stealth. So Red Riding Hood stealthily goes along and solves these puzzles, and you can bypass enemies quite easily. And for the most part this actually works. The stealth does work. I do admire that. Obviously you don't get a weapon until you've completed like the first section of the game, and once you do get your weapon, once again the 50-50 chance of actually landing something or it actually registering comes into play. You're swinging away and it's 50-50 chance that you might actually hit an enemy, 50-50 chance you will just miss the enemy even though it's right in front of you, and you'll just get hit. And this became frustrating through my experiences. I desperately hated these moments where you had to fight an enemy, but it gets worse in the sewer level, which I'm going to get on to. So yes, the platforming doesn't really work, the combat doesn't really work, but sneaking and stealth, it surprisingly does work. I must admit I was getting scared at some points, over the point that, at some moments, because I honestly thought that at one point the game would just kill me just for sneaking and doing what it wants. Okay, so then comes the controls. So when I first booted up the game, I thought, you know what, it's going to use the WASD space and mouse button to do whatever you want. Instead, it gives you a completely different control. You get arrow keys, and then you get given space and enter and other individual keys, which I don't really remember because I'm so sorry about this. But it was a very strange setup. Even the combat was allocated to like one of the random keys, like C or something like that, and it felt really weird. But obviously, when I went into the controls to try and change the controls to make it more suitable, I then discovered the first thing that pops up, a controller. It's pretty clear to me that this game was built to be based on console controls and not a keyboard and mouse. And whether the lag was already evidence enough, this truly proved to me the issues of the game. It truly showed me that the game was built to be on console, and console only. Yes, so the game was meant to be built on console and console only, which truly got on my nerves. So, after getting a game controller for this PC game, I realised how much easier it was to actually control her, how much easier it was to do anything. I didn't like it, but hey, the game's being a dick, you have to kind of go with the game. So, I've been avoiding this moment, but let's talk about the sewer level. This was the bit which truly made me rage quit and ask for a refund. So, right off the bat, we get given a new enemy. We're not given these tin soldiers, but rather we're given rats. Rats can only be killed through a heavy attack, which revolves around Red Hood just slamming her axe down to crush them and kill them. However, as she's slamming down, it's almost impossible to kill these rats. Yes, this giant axe which she has in her hands, it doesn't kill the rats. The rats sometimes just phase through and they continue attacking you. What's worse is the rats will continuously follow the player, so no matter where you go, the rats will constantly follow you, and they'll take out chunks of your health every bite. And they're always in swarms. So imagine a swarm of these rats following you across the map and constantly biting you to death. And though your health does recharge, it doesn't recharge fast enough, and as a result, you're fucked. That's the best way to put it. You're fucked. And it's truly, truly annoying. It really, really pissed me off. So then you have the puzzles, like you have to turn these levers or these pipes, and you have to make sure they work and make sure the steam doesn't kill you, make sure the oil doesn't kill you, that sort of stuff. And then you have to do jumping puzzle on moving platforms. Now, as I already mentioned, this game lags like fuck, and the platforming itself is a 50-50 chance of you actually landing on it, and this happened quite a bit. You're jumping on these moving platforms and you fall straight through. So yes, the sewer level isn't the best. And so, once you've done this horrible moving platform section, you then get given this beautiful moment. When I mean by beautiful, I mean annoying. So, essentially what you have to do is you have to open this big door, but the only way to open this big door is to basically pull this lever. Not pull the lever. No. You know what I mean. Essentially what you have to do is pull a switch, and the switch will open the door, but as soon as you do the switch, the door will be blocked off, and the only way to open this door, this blocked door, is to basically pull down these giant saw blades which are blocking the door, but it only does the one on the opposite side, meaning you have to run all the way around to the open area. The issue here is, not only was I lagging a lot, but you also have to do it in a timed condition, and timed conditions, as you may know already, are agonizing, and so you always, and I repeat, always have to suffer under these conditions. What's worse is you have these horrible grabbing onto ledge sequences, which, as I mentioned already, you will either sink straight through or you might grab onto it. As a result, you then rush across, you jump onto these flame pits which will burst. You will jump over these flame pits which will burst in great fiery fury, and you then have to go all the way around and hope that the exit isn't, or the entrance, should I say, isn't blocked off. This happened while lagging like hell, and of course what's worse is, even if you do jump around and you finally get over to the other end, the camera might break. The camera will break and it will glitch and it will show what is essentially the background, or something completely unrelated, or a close-up of the ground. It just, basically what I'm trying to say is, it was impossible to finish. I kept trying it over and over again, just hoping that maybe I could get through this, but I didn't. And that was the final straw for me. Not only was the game a buggy mess, not only was it horrible to play, not only was I unable to actually combat enemies, not only was I able to do platforms correctly, not only was I able to grab onto ledges properly, the game was just a mess. And it kind of shows that this game's reputation has damaged whoever created this, because upon doing some research, it turns out the company that made this game went bankrupt. Yes, they went bankrupt, and once they did, well, let's just say they haven't really done anything since. They just went bankrupt and blamed it all on bad reviews. You know, the typical sore loser sort of behaviour. But what's worse is the company then got bought out by another company, and this other company is still selling the game online. And I think to myself, with all these issues, with all the negative reviews, you'd think that they might just go back to it and fix these issues. But they haven't. This game was released in, 2014, and they still haven't. It's depressing, because this game looked like it had potential, but instead what you get is nothing good. You get nothing good whatsoever. And that's why this is a warning message. Do not get this game. Do not even put your time into it, because you will suffer, just like I have suffered. Thank you, and